Bossman, football, gaming, culture.
Let me ask you something. What if I told you that a country who has won the World Cup 4 times, yes, 4 times, and are rightfully one of the biggest footballing nations of all time, set to miss the World Cup 3 times in a row? You'd think I was lying, right? Right? Wrong. Yeah, it's incredible. It happened. It's happening. And it happened again last week. Italy. Buongiorno. Di giorno. The Azzurri, 4 time champions of the World Cup, 1934, 1938, 1982, 2006. Yep, they won all four. A nation that gave us the likes of Buffon, Pirlo, Maldini, Baresi, Baggio, Totti, Del Piero, Pirlo, legends, Zoff. Yeah, that country. Italia. Italia. They are going to be missing 3 straight World Cups in a row. Country that lives and breathes football, a country that has been synonymous with excellence in football at the highest level of the game for a century. Let that sink in. They won't be at the World Cup again this summer. They're not going to be there. They were not there in 2018, not there in 2022, and again, they'll be missing 2026. 3 straight World Cups missed. The Italian press called it the third apocalypse. Their two biggest sports papers both ran the headline, "We're all staying home." A former Italian prime minister said it was unfortunately not an April Fool's joke. Nope. The sport minister said the federation president should resign or should be sacked. Well, today, Bossman breaks it all down. How did this happen? How does one football royalty end up watching the World Cup on television 3 straight times? Do the math. That's 12 years. Well, let's find out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell if you already haven't. This video is going to be something special, and let's cook. All right, part two, the glory days of Italy. Italy's World Cup legacy. I'm going to read this to you. It's amazing. Italy, they won the World Cup in 1934, Benito Mussolini era. Italy won it again in 1938, back to back champions, the only nation besides Brazil to defend a World Cup title. What a feat. 1966, shock exit, beaten by North Korea. 1970, runners up, lost to Brazil in one of the greatest finals ever, 4-1, a legendary Italian team, lost to Brazil. 1982, world champions, again, Paolo Rossi wins the Golden Boot, Italy defeats West Germany 3-1, magic. 1990, they host the World Cup, third place. Ooh, the era of Maldini. 1994, runners up. They lost to Brazil on penalties in a goalless final. Baggio's iconic missed penalty. I remember that one. I was a baby, but I was a kid when I remember. Oh, my dad went crazy. For those who don't know, my dad went to school in Italy, so I have like, I'm not gonna say Italian roots, but Italian ties. I still have like family and friends in Italy, so it's a this is a an emotional topic for me because my dad supported Italy a lot growing up. I had to watch Italian national games reruns on TV with my dad. I always used to hear him on the phone speaking to his, friends and family in Italy in Italian whenever he comes back to visit. He was living in Italy, coming back to visit. But anyway, that's besides the point. Quarterfinals in 1998, always competitive, always dangerous. In 2006, they were World Cup champions. That one was epic. My dad is late now. He didn't watch that. He wasn't able to see the 2006 one. He passed away, unfortunately, in 2004. Yeah. So Fabio Cannavaro lifted the trophy in Berlin. Zidane had butted Materazzi. I think that's what that World Cup was most popular for. Zidane's last World Cup, they headbutt against on Materazzi. Italy beat France on penalties. Glory. That 2006 squad has had Buffon in goal, Cannavaro at the back, who won the Ballon d'Or that year, a defender winning the Ballon d'Or, amazing. Pirlo in midfield, Totti, Del Piero, Tony, Inzaghi up front. Gattuso, who is now the coach, was that part of that too. He was a midfielder in that winning team. Let that sit with you for a second. From 1966 onwards until 2014, Italy never missed one World Cup. Not once, never, never. 50 years of consistent qualification, then everything changed. The first fall, 2018. 2010 and 2014 were already warning signs flashing. 2018, there were signs people chose to ignore. Italy exited the group stage in both 2010 and 2014. In the group stage, they left. In 2010, they were ranked fifth in the world, yet they were kicked out in the group stage. They went out with 0 wins. 2014, they had Pirlo, Balotelli, still crashed out in the group stage in 2014. So that's 2 years in a row crashed out in the group stage. South Africa 2010. In 2018, that was their first miss. Sweden ended it. For the 2018 World Cup qualifying, Italy were drawn in the same group as Spain. They finished second behind Spain and went into the playoffs. Who were their opponents? Sweden. Sweden ranked 25th in the world at that time. Italy couldn't score in either leg. They lost 1-0 on aggregate. They couldn't put the ball across the net in 180 minutes against Sweden. That was the moment the curse began, I believe. The coach, Ventura, was crucified. He was blamed for tactical rigidity, poor personnel decisions. He refused to adapt. The lasting image of the campaign was De Rossi, one of Italy's most experienced players, angry on the bench, refusing to warm up when his team was losing. The dressing room was fractured. Fact, Italy failed to score in 180 minutes of football against Sweden. 180 minutes. 2 games. It was their first miss of the World Cup since 1958. 60-year streak ended. They went into mourning. Buffon, the greatest goalkeeper of his generation, retired from football with tears in his eyes. A legend sent off with not even as much as a farewell game in the World Cup. That was heartbreaking. Part 4, the second fall, 2022. Now, Euro 2020 was a false dawn. Between 2018 and 2022, Italy didn't just rebuild; they won the European champions. So it was like a false dawn. It was like a failure to launch. They tried to launch, you know, Euro 2022, played in 2021. They had an unbeaten run of 37 games. Roberto Mancini transformed the team. New generation, new philosophy. Italy played beautiful, exciting football. They beat England in the final at Wembley on penalties. The world said Italy is back. No, they weren't back. No. 2022, North Macedonia. Yes, you heard me right. North Macedonia. Italy were placed in a group with Switzerland. They drew 4 of their final 5 qualifying matches, scoring just 2 goals. Couldn't win when they needed to, finished second behind Switzerland, back to the playoffs again. In the playoffs, everyone expected Italy to handle North Macedonia, a team that was ranked 66th in the world, and just breeze past them. What happened next became one of the notorious moments in football. Trakovsky, 92nd minute. Alexander Trakovsky, North Macedonia, scored from distance, 1-0, 92nd minute, game over. So despite Italy having 32 shots on goal in that game, they couldn't score. The most dominant game that ended in defeat that you will ever see. Mancini resigned. Some say he was replaced by Spalletti, but he resigned, yes, and replaced. Some say he was pushed out. Part 5, the third apocalypse, 2026. Third time. Lucky? No. Missed out again. Gattuso in. The carousel continues. For the 2026 World Cup qualifying, Spalletti was given a job. The man who transformed Napoli won Serie A with them for the first time in decades. Italy started qualifying and immediately lost to Norway in their qualifying. Erling Haaland's Norway. Spalletti was fired just after one qualifying game. They were like, nope, we're not doing that with you. They turned to Gattuso, the midfield general, the warrior, the World Cup winner in 2006, but not really an experienced international coach. He's a passionate, emotional, gritty. I think there was more sentiment there over strategy, but we'll see. Italy went on to win every other qualifying game. See, a little kind of bright light there, except against Norway, who they lost again to in November 2025, 1-4. So that second defeat to Norway cost them the group. They finished second. Now back to playoffs again. Final, the playoffs. The playoffs was like the final before the World Cup. I watched that one. Bosnia Herzegovina against Italy, March 31st, 2026. I was sitting down, TV, watching this. I'm like, ain't no way Italy's going to blow this again, third time in a row. Before it was not Macedonia, now it's Bosnia Herzegovina. They definitely should take the chances. Moise Kean scored. And I was like, yeah, Italia, Italia. And Bastoni got a red card. Yeah, and that was the decline. That was what I think that's pretty much what cost them the game. After Alessandro Bastoni got that red card, one of the most important defenders on the team, with 10 men, the game changed. Bosnia started taking their chances and finally took their chance and got 1-1. After 90 minutes, it moved on to penalties. Of all the Italians, only one person scored his penalty, Tonali. Yes, only Tonali. Bosnia scored their penalties and beat Italy 4-1. Italy out. Done. C'est fini. Finito. The front page of the Gazzetta dello Sport called it the third apocalypse. They're calling for resignation of the Federation president. Part 6. The 5 real reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So why is this happening? This isn't just bad luck. I'll give you the real reasons. For me, one was the lost generation of world-class players. If you go back to 2006, the squad had Del Piero, Totti, Pirlo, Buffon, Maldini, successor who was Cannavaro, generational talents. Now, the most expensive player in this current squad, or the most influential player, is arguably Tonali, who was just banned for 10 months for betting violations. Yeah, you could say Donnarumma is a big stud in goal, yeah, big dog in goal. But yeah, Italy really have just two world class players, if we're being honest, in this team that can walk into any other top international team. Striker situation is a problem. Retegui, Moise Kean of Fiorentino, Walkman like, but are they really world class? No, no. We can't go from the days of Baggio and Totti, and then you're telling me it's Moise Kean and Retegui that are going to replace them. Reason 2, the decline of Serie A. Serie A has really declined over the past few years. 1980s and 1990s era. When I was growing up in the 90s, the Serie A was the ish. Roma, AC Milan, Inter Milan. When they line up like this, you'll be like, who are these people? Who are these legends? Who are these great gladiators? When you see them coming out, Ronaldinho, Kaká, Gattuso, you're like, what the hell? you know. So it was like they had a lot of play. Romario, Ronaldo, Bastan, Maradona, Gullit. It was like Italian clubs dominated Europe. I remember as a United fan, I can remember vividly Roma beating United 3-0. A star-studded United side. They beat United 3-0 with Kaká. You know, the last Italian club to win the Champions League was when? Inter Milan in 2010. In recent seasons, every Italian club was knocked out of the Champions League before the quarterfinals. So there's a decline in the quality of the Italian league. When your domestic league weakens, the truth is that it affects your national team. It's simple. Number 3 for me, the coaching carousel. There's no stability. I'm not someone who says fire the coach, fire the coach. No, Ventura was fired in 2018. Mancini had success in 2020, then things fell apart. Spalletti fired just after one qualifying game. Gattuso in. 4 different coaches in 8 years for your national team is too much. There's no philosophy, there's no continuity, there's no clear identity. Gattuso, yes, he won most of his qualifying games. That first loss against Norway and the last loss against Norway cost them the group. Compare that to Spain, that is built on tiki-taka foundation for 15 plus years. They have an identity, very consistent. France, consistent development. They know their generation. Italy changes direction constantly, and they're paying the price for it. Reason 4 for me, mental fragility in big moments. They choke in the big moments. You know you have one game to make it past the finish line against Macedonia. You blew it. You have one game against Bosnia to make it past the finish line. Come on, man. Put it all in. You go, get a red card, and you blow it again. The pattern is undeniable. Italy, they have the ball, they dominate possession, but they cannot score when it matters. 32 shots against Macedonia. I just said that. Crazy. Then they play against and they still lose. Then they go, it's psychological, it's technical. Italian football used to be synonymous with mental strength, but they had that Italian spirit. When you're talking about the Italians, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know, the mental toughness has evaporated for me. Pressure is highest, they shrink. Reason 5, youth development has fallen behind drastically. Nations like France, Spain, Germany, they produce talent systematically. Mbappe, Bellingham, Yamal. These are products of elite youth academies with a clear development philosophy. Italy's youth system stagnated. They are not developing players in the volume and the quantity that they once had. Serie A clubs prioritize foreign talent over their developing players. Pipeline has dried up. Simple. And when the pipeline dries up, the national team will suffer for it. One Italian journalist put it best. He said, "It's like we're not ready for the big match. We're not ready when it matters." This quote sums up everything. And part seven for me, the historic weight of this. Let me put this full historic context again so you understand just how unprecedented this issue, this matter is. Only 8 countries have ever won the World Cup: Uruguay, Italy, Germany, Brazil, England, Argentina, France, and Spain. Of those 8 that have won the World Cup, only Italy has now missed 3 straight World Cups. Only Italy. Not Brazil, not Germany, not France, not Argentina, not Italy. Only Italy, sorry. So Argentina has missed multiple World Cups, but those were for political reasons, logistical reasons, not because they failed on the field. England didn't even join FIFA until like 1950. So none of them have missed 3 in a row for performance sake. Italy's last World Cup match was against Uruguay in 2014 group stage. They lost that match 1-0. That was their last match. Their last knockout stage appearance was the 2006 final. They won that one. The headbutt by Zidane. Yep. And they have played 0 knockout games in 20 years since. A generation of Italian children, now teenagers, have never seen their national team at a World Cup. Let that sink in. It's true damage of this. Cultural wound cuts deep in a country where football is their religion. What happens next for Italy? Where do they go from here? What's the rebuild, really? Gattuso's future as a coach is uncertain. The federation president, who survived the 2022 disaster, somehow kept his job. He's under massive pressure again to be fired, but they're calling for reflection and accountability. Next major tournament for them is 2027 European Championship, and after that, that'll be the 2030 World Cup. Their realistic target is to get back into that World Cup. But the problem is there's really no obvious world-class talent coming through for Italy's pipeline right now. Think about it. I don't know. None. The situation could actually get worse before it gets better. I mean, there are young players with some promise, but really, are there any? There's Nico Paz, there's Musa, but I don't even think Paz has signed up to play for Italy because he was born in Spain. Um, Yeah, for Italy to return to where they belong, they need a radical federation reform. To be honest, will they do it? Well, history suggests they'll appoint another manager soon, generate false hope, and potentially miss the 2030 World Cup too. But I hope they don't. Really, for the sake of me, my dad, all the Italians, I hope they actually make the 2030 World Cup. Really, Italy, 4-time World Cup champions, absent from the last 3 tournaments. It's not a curse; it's a consequence. Consequence of poor leadership, broken system, complacency, and the failure to evolve when the rest of the world is moving forward. Well, I believe this is a cautionary tale for every football nation, Sha. No legacy can protect you. It's happening in the club world football, the world of club football too. Your legacy can protect you. You can decline. Tottenham is about to get relegated. United, declined before they came back, slowly coming back up. So Chelsea, same thing. So it's happening even in club football. Football is ruthless. Italy is learning that lesson the hardest way possible. Do you think they can come back? Or is this a new normal for Italy? Like, are they now just regular participants or non-participants of the World Cup? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Let's debate on that. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share this. And I'll keep on sharing football stories. Cheers. Till the next one. Bossman talking to you.